The first round of mass deportations in Colorado last week were a disappointment to the ICE agents who carried out the raids and to the Fox News team embedded with them. Hi there, back here please. Both Fox News and ICE claimed without evidence that local media had tipped off migrants that the raids were coming. Fox said the raids were designed to round up 100 suspected gang members and got one among 30 total arrests. We've been asking since then how many of the people arrested were actually the violent criminals targeted, as opposed to people who simply couldn't show papers when ICE knocked at their door. Our Angeline McCall looks at the challenge of Trump's competing promises, targeting criminals and deporting tens of millions of people.
When ICE carries out its raids here in Colorado and across the country, they supposedly have a daily quota. The Washington Post reports senior officials laid out a goal of detaining at least 1,200 people per day.
What the Trump administration is trying to do is remove many, many, many times more people than has ever been done successfully in the country.
Deborah Fleischhaker is the former acting chief of staff for ICE under former President Biden, when ICE arrests were around 300 per day.
It requires people to focus on who can we arrest quickly rather than who is the most important person for us to arrest.
To get the kinds of numbers the administration is expecting, Fleischhaker says arrests would include both those with and without criminal pasts.
But it just doesn't stand to reason that you can arrest that many people around the country every day and be focused on the people with the worst criminal histories. You're going to be focused on the people who you can arrest most quickly.
The Trump administration has ordered the Pentagon to expand holding capacity to 30,000 at Guantanamo Bay. But the Trump administration doesn't even know if there are that many immigrants with violent pasts to meet that capacity.
You know, we are going through the process of identifying those that are on our radar. You know, the president committed during the campaign that he believed we needed to have mass deportation. We're going after those that have been the violent criminals perpetuating crimes in our communities, also those with final removal orders, and then we'll continue down the priority list.
And that process of going down a list, immigration experts say, would mean more operations and less targeting of criminals.
Going after people with serious criminal histories and not grandma makes a lot of sense. But I think that with those kinds of numbers, the sorts of distinctions are going to get lost.
We asked if ICE even has this capacity to keep up with this level of enforcement of up to 1,500, 1,400 people per day. Fleischhaker's response was probably not. But at the same time, we see the Trump administration exploring options to deputize other law enforcement agencies to do this work of immigration enforcement. Kyle.
Right, Angeline, at some level, this is very similar to what you see in local law enforcement, non-immigration, right? The people that you put into jail or prison, detention, are the worst of the worst because you can't possibly lock up everybody who has everything down to a civil violation. But if they're just rounding people up on civil violations, I guess where are they going to put people?
Right. I mean, of course, in the previous years, as we've seen from ICE enforcement, it has always been prioritizing violent criminals, people they want off the streets, right? That's who is in ICE detention. So it stands to see what that breakdown is actually in the ICE detention facilities, such as the one here in Aurora.
Angeline McCall, appreciate your continued work on this.